But regardless of all of that, it would be nothing if it wasn't for God. Like, I am very clear on how I got here. There's no doubt, no question. That is it. Only because God touched me. Like, I literally was delivered.
Yes.
I made this Facebook post, I think it was last week, that was saying some people, they don't just need therapy, they need to be delivered.
Head up, tienes el control. Dream on, tú tienes todo el power. Hands up, sube hasta el top. Work it non-stop.
Welcome to the Prosperity of Pink podcast with your host, DaNietra Hall.
Welcome to the Prosperity of Pink podcast, where we showcase guests that teach us how to prosper in our purpose while making an impact, nurturing others with the knowledge they have. And today's guest is very, very special to me. She is the CEO of the Ladies League Women's Social Network. She has the Ladies League of Detroit. She has the Ladies League of Baltimore and the Ladies League of Jacksonville. Not only is she a CEO, a boss lady, but she also is a social worker by day. She works at one of the largest shelters in Detroit, and she has been giving her life's work to just show up in other people's lives to enrich them. And so she's all these things and more. She's a CEO, she's a mom, she's a friend, she's a sister, but she is my best friend for over 30 years. And today we welcome to the podcast, Prosperity of Pink, Miss LaTonia Walker.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know, you are busy. So thank you so much for just carving out some time just to do what you do best, sharing and impacting others with what has impacted you.
Yes, thank you. I'm honored to be here. Looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Well, let's get into it. So I did want to ask you, when you think of the word prosperity, what does that mean to you?
Yes. So to me, it means how you live your life. So I know that some people would equate prosperity with financial prosperity, and that has its place. But the bigger part of prosperity to me is how you live your life. Because you can be a millionaire and not prosperous for real. You can have a miserable life, not have real love or friendships or support in your life. So I definitely have learned watching other people that financial prosperity doesn't equal a good life. So the most important part of prosperity to me is how you live your life. The outcomes that you help produce in your community. That's something that's really important to me. Helping to put love into the community, ways for other people to thrive, good things. So, I was thinking about this recently in a few conversations with some people, and just thinking about how some people, their life is truly putting destruction into other people's life. Whether it's putting substances into the community, human trafficking, which is actually very prevalent in Detroit. A lot of people don't realize that we're actually very high, like top on the list, because we're at a border with Canada.
Wow.
Yes. So human trafficking, domestic violence, racism. So I give these examples to say some people, that is how they live their life, is being a perpetrator of all of those things that I just mentioned. And so prosperity to me is choosing to do the right things, whatever that means for you, because there's multiple ways you can give to the community. So you don't have to be a social worker, that just happens to be the lane I chose. Doing this, having a podcast that's about positive things, that's about supporting women, that's about sharing positive and uplifting stories. Another example I used recently when I was having this conversation was someone who's in the beauty industry. The reason that
Mhm.
I want to give like those type of examples is because sometimes people can think, doing something positive or giving back has to be this big, you curing cancer or,
Right.
but it's like, think about somebody in the beauty industry. Women, our hair example is a very important part,
Yeah.
of our aesthetic. And
Mhm.
a lot of African American women are suffering with alopecia. Actually,
Yes.
I am myself, and several
Mhm.
friends that I know are. So a hairdresser that can, tend to your hair, help, restore it, help bring that beauty so you can feel confident or so you can, look groomed for work and life and things like that. Or the people who make the clothes we have on now that,
Yes.
that's part of their prosperity and purpose, giving back to make people look beautiful or to give them the uniforms they need for work or, these different things. So anything, my point is that it doesn't have to be it can be multiple things as long as it's something that's positive and helping people. That's what prosperity is to me. It's how you live your life and giving back.
Yes, I love that. I think that is really important, and that's one of the missions here. Is just to expand and enlarge what the meaning of prosperity is, especially beyond money. And I think that that's very important because sometimes people don't think that they have anything to offer. You could make pancakes good. You know what I mean? You can give a good hug and change somebody's life, and that could be the thing that you have to offer. So, with that said, and I love all the examples that you gave, if you can just share with us, like, what are some of the ways that prosperity shows up personally in your life?
Okay. Um, a couple of things come to mind. One thing is my relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I have really good relationships, particularly friendships,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
with you and others. That's part of prosperity to me because I have that support system, so it shows up by having people like you that care about me. With the work that I do as a social worker, most of the families we work with at our shelter, they actually don't have a support system or someone to care about them. So it shows up in my life by having people that actually care. And it's not just lip service who show they care, in multiple ways and consistent, over the years. Um, Another way that it shows up, and this to me goes to even like vibes and energy.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like prosperity shows up in my life just day to day, even when I'm out, even strangers. Like I have just good experiences. And it wasn't always that way when I was younger and, finding my way and lost and depressed. And it was a lot of negative experiences,
Yeah.
And now God has flipped that thing all the way around. Like sometimes when I'm out, people just pay for my stuff or go out of their way like to open the door like where it's so intentional
Yes.
um just give me their place in line or just different things even from strangers. So I have it shows up in my life in my actual friendships, but it also shows up in my life like that with strangers. I feel like God has just given me something that attracts goodness now where it used to be like a heaviness and a darkness because of the things I had been through, and now it's just like this light. Almost everywhere I go, I have good experiences. Do I have bad experiences sometimes? Of course, that's life, but
Mhm.
for the most part, I have really good experiences.
Yeah, that makes me think of two things. One is just the seasons of our lives, right? I was talking to a friend and I was like, it's interesting how I was like, girl, you on season 7. I said, and some of the people, they on season 2 and they haven't watched 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons of your life to catch up to what's going on. So they are basing the information the assessment of what's going on with your life in season 7 based on just season 1 and 2. They ain't caught up yet, right? And so what I'm so grateful is that when we were teenagers, we met each other when we were teenagers, and we have been through a lot together, and to respect each other's seasons. We have been in seasons where we have not been in the same season, if you understand, you know what I mean? Where somebody's been going through something and then another person's been going through another. And a lot of times, a lot of friendships can't weather those storms because it's like, how do I celebrate this person when I'm going through this, and vice versa? And so I'm so glad that you mentioned that is a major part of prosperity, is the friendships that you have. That is key, We were talking about just how our guest Tanya was talking about how prosperity shows up in her life through her relationships, through her friendships, and also just through everyday occurrences. If someone's goes out of their way to open up the door, pay for her food, just different acts of kindness. And I wanted to say that sometimes these are happening to people and they're just not aware. I think once you are in a space of intentionality about your own life, you become more aware of the things that are happening around you, right? And then because you have a posture of gratefulness, more things like that begin to happen. And so you're like, oh, wow, thank you. Oh, wow, I'm so grateful. Like you said, yeah, things are going to happen in life that are not going to be all roses, right? But it's really cool to know that when someone does something kind for you, pay for your meal in a drive-through, give you a hug, give whatever it is that they do, that you acknowledge that, you are aware of it, and that that's not a small thing. That may not be a small thing for somebody, and so that is a form of prosperity. And I think that was a very, very good point that a lot of us miss in life. We miss those small things, and those small things become big things. And they are, so thank you so much for bringing that to our awareness. And hopefully that is something that our audience can just kind of take away. And as you go about your day, you kind of like, oh, wow, a person called me and said that I was on their mind today. And things like that is prosperity. So let's see here. Tell us about, aside from the work that you do, like aside from the work that you do for others, what genuinely makes you smile?
Oh, that's a good question. A few things. So I'll give you like a few examples.
Mm-hmm.
So one is most of the people in my life know that I love the Golden Girls.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So see, I'm not going for the deep answer. I'm going for like just the Golden Girls makes me smile.
Yes,
like, just after a long day, it's like comforting to me, just watching it. I still laugh. Even though I've seen it, a million times. I watch it almost every night when I go to bed. And it just helps me, decompress from the day, have a few laughs. And so that makes me smile, like as I'm going to sleep, something happy. So that's one thing. Something else that makes me smile is good food.
Yep.
So I love good food. I love to eat. Tell you. 2 things that I can tell you how to do. One of them is how to get a friend.
Yes.
Because our friends were like every stage of my life, and steady and good friends. And the other one is how to eat good.
That's right. That's
If
right.
I don't do nothing else, I am going to eat good. I work hard, and that's like part of my reward to myself. So just like a little kid, I'll be swinging my feet, and just come in sometimes, and I know how to put it together. All right, so that makes me smile. But then I'll say on another note, something a little more serious is the work that I do at COTS. When I see, because it's a lot of heaviness and trauma, but when I see those good moments, it makes me smile. Just spending time with the ladies. I don't get to spend as much time now being a director at work, but the times that I do get to when I'm sitting on the group sessions or shadow coaching sessions with my team and things like that, and I just like to speak life into them. And when you see them, even though they're going through something, it's like, kind of perk up like, oh, when I ask them certain questions about them or say something positive about them, and just seeing that confidence that it can help build, and helping them to know that somebody cares, that makes me smile.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I'm glad that you did answer with a lighthearted question because that's really what I wanted to know. Because like you said, your everyday life mission it can be a little heavy. So it's like those things that just personally makes you smile. Like you said, the Golden Girls, being able to come home and decompress at the end of the day, having something to laugh at. I think the scripture may say something about laughter is like medicine for the heart or something like that. I don't know, but it's good for us, right? It brings us healing in some form. So that's prosperity. Being able to come home and have a laugh at something that you enjoy is a form of prosperity. Having a good meal. You like to eat. It makes me think of, all my friends, y'all love to eat. Even Kendall Joy. We we were talking earlier, and we have a podcast coming out, and with just her and I, and she's producing it, and so she was talking about her and her dad was talking about the food, like what can we do with the food, and she just lit up. So I get it. I get where food for a lot of people is just a form of prosperity because it is something that not just nourishes the body, but it nourishes the soul oftentimes. So yeah, like that is just, it's just so amazing. So you kind of answered my next question because it's like, I was going to ask you, how do you feel when you see the fruit of the work that you do in the community? And you can choose to expound on that or not, because I know you said that makes you smile, but it makes me wonder, does that help you keep going when things get tough?
Absolutely. So actually, one of my kind of running jokes with my previous supervisor at work is every time I get frustrated, because we all have bad days and have ups and downs at work. Okay. And when I get frustrated, and like, oh, I don't know about this now. I'm gonna have to quit. I can't do this.
Right.
God will always send like a previous client or something will call me or like show up somewhere, and it's like, Miss Walker, and they call me Miss Walker. And even a few times when I have shared with some of them, like, well, you don't have to call me Miss Walker. Like, you can call me, and they'll be like, Miss Walker, you are Miss Walker. Like they told me that. So that's like a thing.
Yeah.
So now I cherish that. But it's like I'll get a phone call from one of them or something. And it's like, Miss Walker, I remember when you helped me or when you told me this or that. And I'm like, only they got me again. So it's just like, that those moments feel so good. And so recently, actually, someone that I used to coach who was a man, I've only, very few men. And he is doing, just beyond successful, just amazing, okay? In
Wow.
every area in his life. And so we stay in contact. And so he reached out recently and said his daughter is in college now at Wayne State. For those that don't know, that's a local university here in Detroit that I went to for my social work degree. And
Hey.
she's in school at Wayne State. And she's taking social work classes and she has to do some volunteer hours. And so he wanted to know, if she could do some things at the shelter. And I was like, of course. And so he gave her my number. I hadn't seen her in years. So even though he and I keep in touch, it's very light level. We just talk or text a couple times a year. So I'm not like, around him like that. So I hadn't seen his kids in years.
Mm-hmm.
So she called me and we had a Zoom session the other day, just to talk about the plan for the hours. And it was just like, I just felt so good looking at her. She was just a beautiful young woman. I'm like, the last time I saw you, you were a little girl and not in college.
Yes.
And, she was like, Miss Walker, I know you probably don't even remember it, but like I remember things you said and did. You had such a good impact on me. I will watch you and I feel honored now to come back and be able to just talk to you. And was just like, oh my God, so
Yes.
those moments like just make me feel so good, even when you don't realize, the impact that you're having. What was that Maya Angelou, one of her sayings that people might not remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel?
I I don't know if that came from her, but that I definitely know that quote. And that's the truth. And that's definitely the truth. They do remember how you made them feel, even when you've long gone, forgot what you said to them or, what you did or whatever. And that definitely goes both ways, whether it's a positive impact or a negative impact. And so we do have to be more mindful of how we show up in the world. And I just think that because, you have done the work and you are very intentional about, how you show up, and you really, really, truly show up that way because that is literally the desire of your heart. And so when you're just being yourself, so that's why it's like, oh, I didn't even know, I forgot all about that. And it's like, because you were just showing up your authentic self, giving your best. And so, I think that is just so key, what you said about how people don't remember what you may have said to them, but they will definitely remember how you make them feel, which is that impact, which is obviously, when you use that word too, which is obviously, though, when sometimes, there's a saying where the good guys finish last. Mm-hmm. Right? Sometimes when you're doing the work, you don't always see the fruit. Right? But you still got to put in the work. You still got to put in the work. And so it's so good that when you are able to see the fruit, like you said, as soon as you get down, there's somebody's just like, oh, Miss Walker, thank you, and that is just so heartwarming, and to know that you can, see the fruit of your work, because I know there were seasons where you didn't necessarily see it so quickly. I remember, I remember there was definitely seasons where you were doing a lot of the work, a lot of the plowing and a lot of, the planting. And I know it really feels good to see the fruit of your labor.
It does. It really does. Yes.
Yes. So I want to ask, because like I said, now, you can see those things. You are literally living your best life, when you were 10 years old, did you ever imagine you would be doing what you're doing today?
I say yes and no. So let me tell you a little of that yes and a little of the no. So
okay.
I was always a girly girl. I loved pink has been my favorite color my entire life since I was a little girl. I love Barbies, and dolls and things like that. And so I bring that up to say, even in playing with Barbies and, different dolls and toys, I knew I wanted more. I liked, like, you know, just even the little things in the dollhouse, like pretty things and, that type of femininity. And, so I didn't know like these terms or exactly, but I knew that it's like, I want to be like that,
Yes.
even like Barbie and her fancy car or,
Yes.
and how like they had careers, like the different jobs and stuff for the dolls and things like that. So I couldn't have put words to it or knew exactly what, but I knew I wanted to be, in the way that I am. I'm a girly girl. I to this day, I love dresses and skirts and, I love heels. Now I can't wear heels as much now
Yeah.
because of a surgery that I had, but I still can wear them a little bit. But I still love them even on other people,
Yeah.
and purses and,
Yeah.
jewelry and pearls and, so just
Yes.
even
Which is why
that.
we're best friends. Yes.
Yeah. And so, and then the part that I'll say no was just that, did have like some challenges growing up. And so, I did feel lost even as a child. It's like I wanted more on the one hand, but I also felt lost on the other hand. And I went through like depression when I was younger and just like this heaviness. So that's why I say yes and no. But God worked it out, you know.
Yes, he did. Yes,
Yes.
yes, he did. And that is so funny that I was like, yes, I was like relating to everything that you were saying because when you are a child, you do have these like aspirations. You may not necessarily be clear on them, but you know the things that you enjoy doing. But then you have a lot of these mysterious questions in your mind, right? Based on just general things. It could be, just being a kid and not knowing what the adults know. It could be, experience trauma. It could be just a myriad of things of, why you are kind of like confused on some things about life. I remember growing up, I would always have questions and I would hear, oh, you'll know when you get older. It's like, what? Like, but I want to know now because I'm like so confused. Like, what's, I need to know these things. So, yeah, it's just a lot. And that can lead to, just, some more heaviness and some different obstacles within your mind, because that can be like internal struggle that you're dealing with the kid and you as a kid and you don't necessarily have the tools. But I love how you said God worked it out. And that's been one of the major things that you have been saying in the dialogue here is you've been bringing up God, and I love that. You want to share with us how big God is in your life and the impact that God has made in your life.
Yeah, and it's even funny when you said like how it's been woven into my answers, and that wasn't even on purpose. It's like it's just there. I mean, it's my foundation. I owe God everything. Like He literally turned my pain into purpose. That heaviness that I mentioned, the depression. I've been suicidal when I was younger. The death of a child, which is one of the worst things that you can go through. That's a big part of my journey was losing my first daughter. Just being out here lost, literally nowhere to go, just, existing. And he turned all of that around. He used it all for purpose. I'm like struggling even with the words. It's like I just know that I would be nothing without God. I think that, the practical things matter. because I'm also, really big on business.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a social worker, but I'm a businesswoman.
Yes.
And practical things matter. That has its place.
It may feel like it's
Mhm.
like
That's how
everything
you
was
feel at
taken.
the time. Yes. Yep.
Yes. And so um as we're, just offering hope, because it could be somebody watching today that's like, you know what? I don't have anything to give. What is my purpose? I don't have a purpose. I don't have any knowledge. I don't have anything to nurture anybody else with because I haven't received the nurturing for myself. And I think, yes, we've had this great conversation talking about all the great things that you do and great, benefits and all of the things that come with the life that we see you have now. But people don't understand the price of the anointing that it came with, and not saying that everybody has to go through the same thing, but if you can offer any words of encouragement for someone who may feel like, I don't have anything to give, I don't know my purpose, I don't know, how can God use me, and I think that's, if you can just, maybe offer some words of encouragement to let people know that, that's the whole point of, I think maybe the word is surrender.
Mm.
You won't have all the answers. You don't know what to do with that. So it's like, I can't even handle this. So in my weakness, I'm made strong through you, but I have to give you
Yes.
this burden, right? And that's when the prosperity can show up in your life. It's because when you realize, I can't handle this.
Mm.
Right? So if you can offer something to anybody who may be listening today who just feels like, I don't, what else, why am I living? Why am I here? Because I don't see a reason.
So a few things come to mind. One is that this is not the case with everybody, but a lot of people, your purpose is connected to your pain.
Come on.
So the very things that they think is like, why they can't make it, or the worst thing that they've been through, this, traumatic experiences, or um, that's probably connected to your purpose. Right.
Yep.
So instead of running from it, you have to lean into it.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. Another thing is, and I've shared this before in different ways, but you have to get into the word.
Come
And
on.
and I think a lot of
Tell
times, even people who have been in church their whole life don't necessarily read the Bible for real.
that
Just like
part.
the scripture or so that's read as Sunday for the sermon. But I think not only reading it, but reading it out loud, and I
Yes.
know that's not all the time, of course, but like in those moments in your home in private,
Yes.
reading it out loud, because there's power. There's power in our words, right? Even if it's
Yes.
not the Bible, just our words in general, so much
Yes.
less reading the Bible out loud.
Yes. And not
And
to cut you off, but
especially,
that makes me think of, I'm sorry, hold your thought, but the word says that um, it is impossible to please God without faith. And then how do we get faith? Faith comes by hearing, and
mm,
hearing by the word of God. So just went to your point. That is very true. You have to
yes,
hear the word of God, right?
yes.
So, okay,
And
go
that's your
ahead.
weapon now. That's your weapon. So
Yes.
you have to say it out loud,
Mm-hmm.
and especially in your home.
Yes.
And those very things that you may have gone through, even from childhood or even things from adulthood, you have to speak to those things with the word.
Yes.
That's the sword. That's the way you fight now, you know. So you have to say it out loud. It'll drive, like, those spirits away, or vibe, just different things. And it's not like this boom, I'm saying overnight, but just speaking that consistency, and
Yes.
speaking it out loud in your home and over your life. So I think that's part of how you can get to your purpose too. Because
Yes.
then you driving the negative away, but you bringing in the positive. Because now it's like God's angel, the Holy Spirit. Now it's drawn to, because it's the word is drawn to.
Yeah.
Right. So that's another thing. I think something else is you really have to start making better decisions,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and taking some accountability.
That
Some
part.
things is like things that we've been through, but some things is things we've done.
Come
And
on.
so making some better decisions, some better choices, because then it's like you don't want to be, now you speaking the word, doing these things, but then you still doing these things over here. It's like, counterproductive. And I know that, nobody is perfect. We have our ups and downs, we have our journey, but at least you're going in the right direction on that journey.
Yes.
Now, where you making better decisions, cutting some things out your life, cutting some people possibly out of your life, even
Yeah.
family sometimes.
Yeah.
Negative relationships, toxic relationships, if a person is struggling with substances, I mean, there's a lot of research around that. You can't go back to that same environment. You
Right.
have to change your relationships and the environment you in. So that's part of it too, to get to it, because now you'll be steered, you focusing on something different where you can even get to purpose and prosperity and all these things, because you're not heavily indulged in these negative things. There's consequences to everything,
Yes, it is.
and to learn. And so sometimes we living in our consequences, and we're not
Yeah.
realizing that. So it's like
Wow.
flipping that so you can have a better, because consequences work both ways. So if
Yes.
you live in the negative consequences, you want to start making better decisions so you can start living in good consequences.
Yes. Yes. Wow. This is a really good conversation. Thank you so much for just sharing just some practical wisdom. It's hopefully that somebody is listening, they're getting some practical wisdom. It's good, the hoorah is good, right? But it's also good when somebody is telling you these are the steps that you need to take if you want to turn your life around. I would tell y'all, you guys probably looking at us. We have on our favorite, both of us have on our favorite color, pink. We are doing well for ourselves right now. Thank you, Jesus, for that. But there was a time we were homeless, sharing of, 4-piece nugget of Wendy's. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and that was real. That was real,
Yes.
real. But the one thing that I can say is that even I like to call it the silent years. I think Joyce Meyer had. I think I read that in a Joyce Meyer book one time, where she was talking about, having friends that believe in you in the silent years. And so when I see Tanya, there's a lot of times that people, well, LaTonia, excuse me, LaTonia, but I know her as Tanya. But when I see her and everybody, everybody is like, wow, she's just this amazing public figure, which she is. But I saw that in her brokenness. And it is and she saw me in my brokenness. So that went both ways. And one thing I could say about our relationship, there's never been any jealousy. We've always been rooting for each other from day one. And so what you see now was not what we weren't always like this. We were two, young girls from the east side of Detroit just trying to figure it out. And I thank God that he he kept us along through this journey. And Tanya is really one of the catalyst people in my life who introduced me to God. So thank you, because I wasn't raised in the church. You know, a lot of people, you know, our age, they were raised in the church. You know, I wasn't. You know, I was more. We had more of a, you know, power to the people household, which is fine. That served its purpose too. I needed that, but we didn't really go to church all the time. But you know, having a friend to introduce you to God in a way that you've never known Him. Because I would see you. There was two things that was always constant in your life, no matter what was going on. And we won't get into all the things that was going on, but there was a lot of stuff going on, right? But you had two things that was always constant in your life. You always had a relationship with God, and you always were in school. Tanya was always in school, y'all. That's why she got all these degrees. Like, you know what I mean? She was always, no matter what was happening, she was always in school. She is always graduated at the top of her class. Like, that's just who she is. So I got to see that. I got to see, like, wow, you know, she may not have a steady home, but she praying and she going to school. And that was, you know, that was just really amazing. So thank you so much for coming and sharing. And lastly, if you could just share with us, maybe, you know, your social media, what do you have going on, so that we can keep in touch with you. And also, we'll probably have someone, our producers, engineers, put the information, that whatever it is that you tell us. But I know that there are you know, ways to connect and become a part of the Ladies League social network, whether it's in Detroit, Baltimore, or Jacksonville. So you can feel free to, you know, leave that information and let us know how we can get in contact with you and whatever it is that you have going on.
Yes, absolutely. So the main place, especially personally, because like my social media with the group, which I will share, I don't, like, you know, run myself, but personally,
That's the boss
Facebook.
for you. It's like, I don't run that.
So people can follow me or friend me on Facebook, which is just my name, LaTonia Walker. Also my website for the Ladies League is the ladiesleagueofdetroit.com. I am just so proud of the ladies and what all we're doing. We just had another photo shoot on Saturday. And I was thinking about it too. I think that's why I'm feeling tired today. We took over downtown. We were outside. So normally we have, you know, like a set location, but this photo shoot, we just walked around downtown in all our fabulousness.
Wow.
So yes, it was so fun.
And just so the people, they are
You know, but
iconic
I
for
am
their
tired.
photo shoots. The Ladies League of Detroit and all the other Ladies League, that's what they are known for. They will step out. Well, they're not known for that, but you know, one of the things that the fun things that
Yes.
we do are their fierce photo shoots. I got a chance to be a part of one of them in May. Was that May, right? I think it was May of this year. When I say a part of it, I got a chance to kind of facilitate some of the behind the scenes. It is a lot that goes into these photo shoots, and they're just amazing. So yeah, they are so iconic. But keep going. I'm sorry.
Yes. And you know, it's really special that that photo shoot that you were a part of was our Pink on Purpose.
Yay!
Yes, it was perfect. And the one that was just Saturday was tutus and tiaras.
Love that.
So
I love that.
So yes, anyway, the website, the ladiesleagueofdetroit.com. People can email me, and my email is latanya at the ladiesleagueofdetroit.com. So you can feel free to reach out if they're interested, if they're in the Detroit area, or Baltimore or Jacksonville. I can connect them to chapters there. And then also assist if there's someone who might be interested in, you know, a chapter in their area. I am looking to grow.
Mhm.
So yeah, you never know.
Yes, and also I know that you also do speaking engagements. I know you haven't said that, but you do. You do speaking engagements, so you can email her for that. I know you have an assistant, and they will get back to you because she does do speaking engagements. She has a powerful testimony. We literally only scratched the surface. We have not really delved deep into some of the things that we could have today, but she has an awesome testimony, an awesome story, and as you can see, offers practical wisdom for any audience to learn and grow from. So thank you so much. I love you. I just want to
I
tell you
love
that.
you. Yes,
Yes,
thank
thank
you. This
you.
was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yay! I'm happy. So stay tuned, guys. And thank you so much for joining us at the Prosperity of Pink podcast.
Bye.
Bye.
Head up, tienes el control. Dream on, tú tienes todo el power. Hands up, sube hasta el top. Work it non-stop.
Welcome to the Prosperity of Pink podcast with your host, DaNietra Hall.